Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick comparison between the Sony CyberShot RX100V on the left, priced at $1,000 with the RX100 Mark IV on the right, priced at $899. Now, of course, the Mark V is the latest addition to the RX100 lineup. The Mark IV has some age on it, but they're still very competent in each of their own ways. Very similar cameras, both based around a 1-inch sensor, same fixed lens, with the same range, f1.8, but the key difference being that here in the Mark V, we have a brand new phase and contrast autofocus system combined with a new buffer cap, which means you can shoot over 300 stills consecutively as long as your SDXC memory card is not a bottleneck. Both have the same OLED EVF that pops out of here simply by pressing down the switch on the side. Both have fully articulating LCD screens. These are not touch screens, but that does allow for vlogging and selfies. Both have high frequency recording, so slow motion capability up to 960 frames. However, 240 is where you're going to want to keep it if quality is of any importance. In terms of Wi-Fi and NFC, pretty much a wash. So really, the RX100 Mark V is all about that buffer and that autofocus system. Both have 5-minute caps on UHD, that is 4K video recording. These cameras will overheat. The RX100 Mark V did recently get a firmware update, but nothing critical in that update. You can see I've added the grip, as I always do on RX100 series cameras, and I highly recommend that to anyone picking up any generation. Although this grip is specifically compatible, I'm trying to remember if it's all the way back to Gen 1. I don't think it is. I think it started at Gen 3, but correct me if I stand to be corrected. But in terms of video and still, these are very close to each other. So if you're trying to figure out whether or not to save the $100, go with the Mark V. If you can find the Mark IV at a significant discount, I highly recommend it because, again, many people that are looking for the best pocketable point-and-shoot camera don't really care that much about the improved buffer here with the ability to take 300-plus shots consecutively, or the autofocus system that's been implemented. The autofocus system here in the Mark IV is still very good. It just simply is nowhere near what you're getting with the Mark V, which is reminiscent of what you'd get out of an interchangeable lens camera body. And quite frankly, that's something that should be there when you're spending $1,000 on a point-and-shoot camera. At least that's a good way to make an argument for it. But back-to-back, side-by-side, these cameras are nearly identical. It's really what's under the hood that matters, and that's why I'm sharing this video. I know a lot of people are interested. Now, if you asked me, hey, I've got a Gen 1, 2, or 3 model, then I would make the argument, definitely transition to either the Mark IV or the Mark V. I think it's warranted. If you don't care about video, maybe less so, but to me, even though there's a 5-minute video cap on the 4K and we've got, you have to be aware of overheating, I still think that there is a major, at least for me personally, a major difference in this camera having that hybrid capability. There's something about not having 4K in such an expensive, pocketable form factor that just doesn't add up for me. So I was waiting a long time for Sony to add 4K video capture to the RX100 line. These are the two cameras that sport it. Of course, different price points, different autofocus systems, and different buffer caps, but the same high frequency or slow motion capability, same sensor, same lens, same build quality, and same great reputation for being the best pocketable camera on the market, whether it comes to still or video capability. Whether or not it's a wise investment for you personally as an end user really comes down to what you're trying to achieve. If you just want the best quality you can fit in your pocket, you're looking at it here, whether you go with the 1000 or the 900, and foreseeably both of these, of course, will go down in price. If the gap widens between the Mark IV and the Mark V, then the Mark IV is easily going to be the better pick, but right now with the $100 difference, the Mark V is the king of the hill. To me, there's nothing else that reaches it. Panasonic, very good offerings, both in telephoto and in other 1-inch competitive type cameras this year. I haven't reviewed them, but I've seen them, put hands on them. They're great, but Sony still wins out when it comes to, in my opinion, overall build quality and actual output on both the still and video side. Of course, they are different cameras, different qualities, different high frequency or slow motion recording capture capability, and different codecs. So that's another thing to take into account when shooting video with either of these cameras. I do shoot underwater video. If you're looking to purchase an underwater enclosure, Sony does make one for the Mark V. They don't state, I believe, that it's compatible with the Mark IV, but I can tell you that the generic Cam Dive brand underwater enclosure does support the Mark IV, and that's because, as you can see, button orientation really has not changed at all, if I can get these both in frame. So that's critical. If nothing really changes, then there's really no reason that an enclosure isn't going to work unless something does significantly change. And having the grip on here doesn't really make a difference either. You can easily take that off for those of you that are wondering. It's just an adhesive grip that Sony sells for around $15. And I just bought a new one because it's just something that, to me, the RX100 has always needed a grip. It's sad Sony doesn't just build it in at this point, but it's still cheaper to make a modular accessory that, over time it's going to wear anyway. So in a sense, it is good that you can just rip it off and replace it with a brand new one. Both have the exact same flash system for those of you that are curious, kind of like they share the same OLED. So something to make light of. But again, it all comes down to that buffer and the autofocus system. That's what the brand new RX100 Mark V is all about. I think that system, its new processor, are being implemented into the RX10 Mark IV is where we're going to see it really shine, because that's a camera with such reach and really a bridge camera, of course. And that's where autofocus being upgraded is going to be something that, people who are into birding, any type of nature photography, not just landscape, they're going to be rewarded heartily with the autofocus system that's here in the Mark V. That's at least what I've noticed so far, is that autofocus system is a really huge upgrade, especially for a point-and-shoot camera, which no point-and-shoot cameras out there have this sort of autofocus system implemented. Something that really, is basically what was on the A6000 APS-C interchangeable mirrorless camera, for those of you that aren't familiar with Sony's E-mount lineup of APS-C and full-frame cameras. But that pretty much sums things up. Menus are the same, startup time, Wi-Fi, battery life, performance. It's all about what your price point is, and do you care about those two new critical features that the Mark V sports. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.